if you are someone who thinks, in a class, like an English class, I can easily understand what the teacher is saying, or maybe you easily understand what I'm saying. But when it comes to English in movies and TV shows or just out on the street, it's really difficult to comprehend what people are saying. That is what this lesson is all about. We're talking about fast speech, and specifically, I'm going to talk about American English because I am from the United States. And as we go through the lesson, of course, I want you to practice with me. And if you enjoy practicing your speaking skills, please subscribe, turn on notifications. That way I can become your teacher. My name is Wes, for those of you who don't know me. And if you, I just appreciate you subscribe, turn on notifications. And as we go through the lesson, mostly I'm going to be talking about connected speech. And this is not something that I would say that you have to do. Everybody has different speaking goals, but I do think, just to reiterate, this is going to help with your listening comprehension. And the way that I want to practice is with this mini dialogue right here. And of course, as we go through this, I am going to ask you if you've been practicing, so you can tell me in the chat. Just write the word speaking, so I know you've been participating. It's great to see a lot of familiar faces. Lali, Takayo, Vicky, Gustav, Julia, Sleepwalker. Perfect. I'm glad so many of you were able to make it today. And maybe I'll try to, again, give some shout outs as we go through the lesson. But here's the dialogue. And right now, we're going to take one of these at a time as we go through this. But right now, I just want you to listen to the way that I say this dialogue right here. So I would say, he's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. Don't you want to wait until he's done? I'm going to try to stay out of his way. So think about the context. Let's say, again, somebody is cooking in the kitchen. The other person wants to go in there and get something to eat, but maybe they're worried that they're going to bother the person who's cooking. But let's take one sentence at a time and look at what's going on. And we're really going to do a deep dive into this. Here is the first sentence. And as we go through this, again, I told you that I'm from the US, so this is more American English. I have these pictures of different landmarks in the United States and bonus points. If you know where this is or what this is, write it in the chat, write it in the comments, just another little short quiz when it comes to American landmarks, and then I'll come back and tell you. So the first part, the first sentence, he's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. So let's look at what's going on, just that first line. He's been in. Linking can occur. We can link those two words together, and this is when we link the final consonant sound of one word with the beginning vowel sound of the next word. So been in. You can hear me link that final n sound, that n sound, with the preposition. It's almost like I'm moving that over to the next word. Been in, been in, been in. He's been in the kitchen, and then the next part, cooking up a storm. So cooking. A lot of times with these verbs in the continuous tense, or even some of these gerunds, G-dropping may occur. And I know G-dropping may sound like a cool new dance, but it's really, we're just, doing what it says. We're dropping that final G. So instead of cooking, and you hear that ing sound, often with American English, we drop that G and it's cookin', cookin'. So can you hear the difference? Cooking, cookin'. I want you to say those both with me right now. Again, start practicing. Cooking, cookin'. And often when that G is dropped, it just makes this easier to say because linking can occur. And we can link that final N sound with up, cookin' up. So it's easier to link the N sound instead of the ing, cookin' up. And of course, we can link the final P sound in up with that schwa sound in the article cookin' uppa, cookin' uppa. Say it with me, cookin' uppa, cookin' uppa. And this is the difference between pronouncing the individual words or saying them together as a phrase. So here we have this first sentence, and I've kind of gone through and put the phonetic spelling. So hopefully you can see the pronunciation, and it hopefully makes it a little easier to follow. He's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. All right. I want you to say that after me. Think of it like shadowing. Try to say it in the exact same way. And I think one of the more difficult things to do when it comes to shadowing would be pacing. See if you can keep the same speed. And it's not like I'm trying to say it really fast, but I just say, yeah, he's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. All right? Say it again out loud. He's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. All right, I trust that you're speaking. If you are, let me know. Write it in the comments. Just write the word speaking. And down below, I've included this because I wanted to give you this phrase, up a storm. So if you say something up a storm, it's an informal phrase to say that you're doing something with a lot of energy, and often you're good at this thing, so it's something you know how to do. So some examples would be like cooking up a storm, dancing up a storm, somebody who's really energetic when it comes to dancing, or somebody's talking up a storm and they're just speaking a lot. So when somebody says something up a storm, that's what it means. You're doing something with a lot of energy and often skill. So he's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. Great job. Thank you for participating. Nice. Alejandra, Tanvir, perfect. Now, to go back to this slide, if you were trying, it just out of curiosity, if you were wondering, this right here is in Chicago. This is a landmark. It's called the Bean because it's shaped like a bean. I have no idea when and why they did this, but if you're in Chicago, this is some place that you may go check out, the Bean. It's just this reflective bean. So that's what this is, in case you're wondering. So we just did this first sentence. He's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. Let's look at the next few phrases. And again, we're going to practice all of these. But if you, again, are someone who wants to practice and improve your speaking skills, you can check out my speaking course. It is a course for intermediate to advanced speakers. And it's just all about helping you speak confidently, speak clearly, speak naturally. Check out the link down below in the description if you'd like to enroll or learn more. And you can use the code SPEAK20 to get $20 off the course fee. So I may come back to this and mention it at the very end. But let's look at the next part. And once again, if you can, just looking at the picture, where do you think this, where is this, what place is this a picture of? You can write it in the chat and I'll come back and let you know. A little bit of a geography quiz in the United States. So the next part, if I were to pronounce the individual words, I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. There's nothing wrong with saying it like that. Again, the most important thing is people understand you. But if I were to say this, I would just say, I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. So let's look at what's going on with this sentence. I don't want to. Want to, this is a common reduction, and you're going to reduce want to just wanna. This is when we remove or change sounds. There are many different reductions, very common in spoken English, and I'd say if there's any part of connected speech that is useful to learn and practice to help you sound more natural, it would be reductions. I don't wanna. I don't wanna bother him. Now I forgot, I should have highlighted bother as well because it's a part of this, but let's talk about elision first. So elision is the omission of sounds or syllables. And there are several times when this may occur. And one of them would be like the H. And what's going on, what I would like to say is that you could think about it as like that H gets removed. I would say, think about it like we're turning down the volume on that H. And you're not really going to hear him and really hear that H. That H elides. And then once that goes away, or we turn down the volume, linking can occur. And this is common with words that begin with H, like he, him, her, his. When these words come in the middle of a sentence or clause, especially when they follow a verb. I don't want to bother him. So you don't really hear that H sound. It's not really too pronounced. And then we can link that R in bother over. Bother him, bother him. And I can really move right through it. Bother him. So just that first part of the sentence, that first clause, I don't want to bother him. I want you to say that. Say that after me. I don't want to bother him. Yeah, I don't want to bother him. And then the next part, but I really want a wanna. So one thing I want to point out is more elision. Another time this may occur is with the T or D. And for the T, when it follows an N sound, it may elide, and you don't really hear that. So think about this if I say interactive English. That T in interactive, I don't say interactive, it elides. Interactive. Interactive English. This is something that is more specific to the American accent. And there are other words that you have that you're not going to hear that T, like the word, I don't say center, I would say center. Somebody is the center of attention, and you don't really hear it. Or right now, I'm using the internet. I'm not going to say internet, that T elides. But again, keep in mind, specific to the American accent. So I don't really, or but I really wanna, when that T elides, we can then link that N sound over with the schwa sound, that article Wanna bite to eat. The one thing I want to say about to is, again, this is another reduction. I know this preposition to, when it's stressed, when it's unstressed and it gets reduced, it may sound a little more like t with the schwa. It's a softer sound because this is a word that you don't want to emphasize, you don't want to highlight. It's a function word that's just showing the relationship between, in this case, bite and eat. A bite to eat. A bite to eat. Can you hear that soft t? A bite to eat. I really want a bite to eat. Just say that clause with me. But I really want a bite to eat. Okay, again, I trust that you're practicing. Say this out loud. It's going to help you. This is what interactive English is all about. So, one thing I want you to keep in mind is that the reduction want to, wanna, it sounds the same as this. I really wanna. So, wanna and wanna, even though they're two different, one's the reduction. I want to do something, you're going to follow it with a verb. I want to go. I want to play. I want to dance. Or if you really want a something, I want a bike. I want a new phone. Okay, just keep in mind that it's going to sound the same, but there's a difference between want to and want a. So let's practice this right here. I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. So can you say that after me? I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. All right, good. Let's say one more time again. Try and see if you can keep that same speed. I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. Okay, good. If you're practicing, write that in the comments. Write speaking. Okay, so I know you're participating in the lesson. Now, once again, just to go back, if you're wondering where this is, I saw some great answer. Yes, Vicky, Gustav, Nicholas, this is Seattle. The city of Seattle up in the Northwest, that is the Space Needle. And I don't know, maybe some of you have been to Seattle and you have seen this before. But it's a well-known city in the Northwest. So we talked about that sentence right there. Let's look at the next one. So I have two more that I want to go through, and then we're going to practice the dialogue. So if I were to say the individual words, don't you want to wait until he's done? Okay, and if I want to say it together as like connected speech, connecting these phrases, don't you want to wait until he's done? Don't you want to wait until he's done? Okay, so the first thing that I want to point out that's going on is assimilation. This is when two sounds, they blend together to create a new sound. In this case, the final T in don't and the beginning Y, that yes sound in you, They blend together and you get this ch, ch. Don't you? Don't you? It's not something that you have to force. As you say one word right from the next, it's going to occur naturally. Don't you? And then reduce want to wanna. Don't you wanna? Don't you wanna? Don't you wanna? And then the next part of the sentence, wait until he's done. So wait, the one thing I want to point out is with the American accent, again, this is specific to the US accent, that T is going to be a flap T. It's going to sound like a soft D. So this occurs when it comes between two vowel sounds. So even though we're talking about two different words, it still comes between those two vowels, that vowel sound in wait, and then the beginning vowel sound in until. So just listen, wait until, wait until. Again, that's more the American accent. You can hear me say that flap T, which I can then link to that vowel sound in until. Wait until, wait until, wait until. And then the next word, he's, again, you can see all this elision going on. If we mute that H, we can link the final consonant sound in until, that L sound, with that vowel. Wait until he's, wait until he's. So can you hear that? I don't want to wait until he's. And then done, again, this is a yes-no question. So you can hear that rising intonation. Actually, I should go this way, rising intonation at the end. I don't want to wait until he's done. Or asking a question, sorry. Don't you want to wait until he's done? You hear that rising intonation at the end? Don't you want to wait until he's done? So here is the phonetic spelling right here. So I tried to break down the syllables. Wait until he's, wait until he's. Don't you want to wait until he's done? Say it after me. Don't you want to wait until he's done? All right, one more time, trying to hit that rising intonation at the end. Don't you want to wait until he's done? All right, again, if you're speaking, let me know in the comments. I already see like some people participating. That's what I want to see. Takayo, Sariksha, Vicky, Gustav, Cinderella. Excellent. Perfect. Don't you want to wait until he's done? Now, to go back, again, your little geography quiz, which I'm giving you. I thought I heard somebody say it's not Pikes Peak in Colorado. This is actually in Utah. So this is Grand Arches National Park. If you travel to the US and you like the outdoors, you love national parks, it's in the summer, definitely hit up Utah. There are so many cool national parks. You have Grand Arches National Park. Zion is another one. Bryce Canyon. And actually, no, wait, I'm sorry. I think this is Bryce Canyon National Park. It's not Grand Arches. It's Bryce Canyon. But there are a lot of great national parks in Utah. That's basically what I want you to know. Okay, let's look at the next sentence. So we've gone through this one. We did a deep dive. Hopefully it all makes sense as far as what's going on, what you hear, and what's happening with this. So the last one. And again, I'll be very impressed if you know where this is right now. So I'm going to try to stay out of his way. I'm not really going to say it like that. I'll say it much faster, and I'd say, I'm going to try to stay out of his way. I'm going to try to stay out of his way. And I guess one thing, hopefully, again, this is all about improving your comprehension. That's what's most important. If you didn't see this and you just heard me say, I'm going to try to stay out of his way, or would you be able to understand all of those, like, again, pick out those individual words? If so, then I think that's great. I'm going to try to stay out of his way, but let's talk about what's going on, and then I'll come back and tell you, well, where this beach is right here. So the first thing I want to point out is I'm going to. We can reduce that. Of course, going to, we can reduce to gonna, I'm gonna. If we want to reduce it even further, and this is something that I do a lot in casual conversation, when we're talking about I'm going to, we can reduce it to I'm gonna. So I'm gonna or I'm gonna. And again, you'll hear me say I'm gonna. That's what I'll practice. You can give it a try. I know when I've taught this in the Speak Up course and we practice some of these reductions and this connected speech, Some people are more comfortable than others, but if you wanted to reduce it further, I'm gonna try to. It's unstressed, so again, it's gonna sound a little more like that schwa sound. T. I'm gonna try to stay out of his way. So out of his. Once again, that final T in out, you're gonna hear me say it as a flap T, and then we can link it with the vowel sound in of, out of, out of. And in this case, his, I told you it's very common with words like he, him, his, her. If that H gets muted and we turn down the volume, we can link that final consonant sound. In this case, of, it's more of that V sound. Out of his, out of his. I'm going to try to stay out of his way. So again, trying to give you the phonetic spelling so you can see the pronunciation. I'm going to try to stay out of his way. I'm going to try to stay out of his way. I want you to say it after me, and let's do it slowly one time. I'm going to try to stay out of his way. And then if we speed it up a little bit, I'm going to try to stay out of his way. Okay, good. All right. Again, we're practicing one at a time because then I want to go through and actually say this dialogue. So before we practice the dialogue, let's go back to this picture right here. And I saw a correct answer, Sarasota. Yes, this is actually where I chose this because this is where I am right now. We're visiting family. I'm in Sarasota. This is one of the beaches there out at Siesta Key. And it's again, Florida, I think along the Gulf has really nice beaches. The white sand, the ocean is very calm and warm, so the waves aren't big. If you have a family, then this is a good spot with kids because the waves, it's not too rough. But this is a picture, Sarasota, Florida. All right, so let's look at the dialogue. So we kind of went through, and I know I've done this quickly and asked you to practice, but again, this is just, the more you do this, the more you'll get used to it, using these reductions, linking these phrases, but more importantly, it's good for your listening comprehension because when you're watching a movie or TV show, this is what's going on. People are using reductions. They're linking words and phrases together. They're blending sounds with assimilation. They're removing sounds with elision. So I'll read it one more time. I'll say it one more time, and then we're going to practice together, okay? So just listen the first off. I'll say, he's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. Don't you want to wait until he's done? I'm going to try to stay out of his way. Okay, so now you heard me say it one time. Let's do this together. I am going to say A, and I want you to say B. We're gonna work on this together. Say it out loud. Are you ready? Here we go. He's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. Don't you want to wait until he's done? Okay, good. Now let's switch. I want you to say A, and then I'm going to say B. We're just going to read this together. All right, so I want you to begin. You can begin right now. I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. I'm going to try to stay out of his way. All right, so once again, if you participated in the lesson, I want to know, and I'm actually going to give you a poll. All right, did you practice your speaking skills? All right, I want you to be honest. It's just a yes, no. And yeah, I just got to get a feel for what everybody's doing. I told you this is interactive English. It's all about trying to help you practice and improve your skills. That's actually what I wanted to say earlier. I had a little bit of I froze up at the beginning after I introduced myself, and usually that's kind of the routine that I go through. This is interactive English. It's all about helping you practice and improve your skills. This is not just helping you practice your speaking skills, but I told you listening comprehension, because everybody has different goals when it comes to speaking. And I never would say, oh, you have to speak a certain way. You have to speak with a certain accent. I'm from the US, so I kind of want to help you better understand the American accent and understand why people sound the way they do. Like when you say these different sentences right here. He's been in the kitchen cooking up a storm. I don't want to bother him, but I really want a bite to eat. Don't you want to wait until he's done? I'm going to try to stay out of his way. And you can hear this and say, okay, now I know what's happening. People are reducing certain phrases. They're linking these words together. They're reducing certain sounds or words. And again, hopefully it makes a bit more sense. And just looking at the poll, all right, we're about, 20, 80% yes. That's good. That is a passing grade right there. And even if you weren't speaking out loud, I imagine you're just taking it all in. Still, I think this is going to be helpful when it comes to your listening comprehension. So if you enjoy these lessons like this and enjoy practicing, let me know. You can hit that like button that tells me in the future I should do more lessons just like this. And just to reiterate, again, if you want to practice and improve your speaking skills, you can check out the link down below in the description. I'll go ahead and throw it in the comments if you'd like to learn more about the course or see when it's available. The course enrollment is now open. So wait a second, I lost my page here, and I'll just throw it in the chat really quickly. But I do want to thank you guys for participating and joining me today. I think I will be back next week with another lesson, and you can, right here, check out my speaking course, and I'll put the link, boom, right there in case you're interested. Give some quick shout outs. Thank you for being here. Vicky, Gustav, participating, Lali, Miriam, Halandra, Takayo, good to see you. Sleepwalker, Ava. Sorry if I'm missing some names right here. Cinderella, Dude, excellent. I love it. Thank you guys so much for joining me for today's lesson on fast American speech. And like I said, I will be back